front right.
Good
Alright,
grab.
everyone move to front right now.
Oh my god.
There's one guy from front.
It's 4. They're dead. Don't come front right.
Oh,
No. They're all
More
coming.
coming.
They're all coming. They're all
Yeah,
coming.
yeah, yeah.
Alright, front right, everyone transition. All range damage on that door. Don't let them spread.
Coming in back left.
How
Fill
many?
my debuff at the door.
Keep damaging on the door.
6 or 4.
Max range damage. Push them from behind if you
I
cross.
grab.
All heart runes right in the middle of the bridge now. Push to the middle of the bridge from both sides. Push to the middle. No matter which side you're on, push towards the middle.
Okay, so I am back for a follow-up on how my Bruiser build is going, and it couldn't be a better time, because if you could recall last time, you know, I was still trying to look for weapons, and I was looking forward to the event that was coming around, and the event has come around. It took me all of 4 days of the days that you have to go through before you get all the weapons in the event, or all the items in the event. Literally got it on the last boss of the 4th day, but I did get this Wrath of Decimus weapon, and I put Refreshing Move on it, and now it's 700 year score, and that is more, or all that I could possibly ask for from my greataxe, so I got that completed. I'm kind of cheap, and like I said, I'm trying to keep the spending cost to a minimum, and I'm only sort of using this build for open world PvP and doing influence races with my company, so I'm really not trying to sweat it that hard. It comes with a Punishing Cruel Rune Glass gem in it, which I think is good enough. If I really wanted to go for what I and many other people think is BIS, I would probably put a elemental dot damage opal Rune Glass in here. That would be the best. And for the hammer, it's what I had last time. For all intents and purposes, it's good enough. As you can see, I have a Jasper in there. And I think that if I really wanted to have the application of a Sundering Shockwave, I have a hammer here that has Plague Strike Sundering Shockwave. That's actually pretty good, and it's comparable gear score, so I could use that too if I really wanted. And aside from that, since last time I was talking about a heavy armor build, which is, for all intents and purposes, still good and has a lot of armor, good survivability in open world PvP, and as long as you don't stam out, all is good. But since last time, the cost of the dodge has gone up to 55 stamina, so you really can't afford to double dodge when you're in trouble without incurring, you know, a gray bar, which makes you very vulnerable. And even though that doesn't seem like a big deal, I think that in the heat of battle it still comes up sometimes. But I think that, like, if you stay with the clump and are generally careful, I think this still is viable. I don't think, you know, some people would consider it quote-unquote optimum, but it still has a ton of survivability, and if I were to continue working on this build, I would upgrade a full set of syncretic pieces. Probably, you know, it could Grit Ward, Slash Conditioning, and any other defensive perk would probably be fine. And because of all the armor that I get, I would go 300 Strength, 300 Con. But with the 55 stamina change, and the fact that I do like to play a little bit more active and enjoy dodging out of personal preference, I have since moved on to medium, so I have a medium set that doesn't really care about freedom so much. So this is more or less the same thing. It has a ward perk and a conditioning perk on most of the pieces. It is really hodgepodge, but again, for all intents and purposes, I found that this is more than good enough, and I have tumbler boots as the artifact on the armor. I think that that is best for medium. I think that you can play Void Darkplate on medium as well, and then you get not quite as much, but you get a significant boost to your armor, and you don't have to do anything to do it. But tumbler boots is like the perfect thing for the medium setup, because you know you have your 55 stamina dodge, you can dodge a lot, and when you do dodge, and as long as you have the fortify uptime, you have more armor when Shirking Blessing is up than you do if you had Void Darkplate. So there's that, and this has worked pretty well. And another piece of tech is that you lose out on armor by going down to medium, but what you can do, and what I do, I don't have it here because I haven't spec'd into it and I don't want to use the gold right now, is that I think what would be best, and a lot of people run this, is to go 250 strength and 350 con. Because in addition to having full set of grit ward, when you have 350 con, you have an additional 10% damage reduction, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is like the old Fortify, where it's just a 10% flat damage reduction as long as you have grit. So as long as you're in the clumps and you're swinging your weapons and then you're activating grit, this accounts for a pretty significant damage reduction that makes up for not being in heavy armor. So by going to medium and going 350 con, maybe you lose out on a little bit of damage that you would gain a little bit back from being a medium and having 10% higher base damage, and you lose out on some armor, but you get it back in the form of this 10% damage reduction, all while retaining 50 stamina dodges instead of 55. So I think that's the route that I'm going on. So I have this set right here, and I'm also sort of keeping in mind that freedom does matter. So I have another set that I'm sort of cobbling together, and a lot of this, again, just like last time, it comes from things that I happen to have in my inventory from doing a lot of dungeon mutations, just a lot of things that I pick up along the way, and I'm more of a hoarder, so I tend to keep and stash all of this stuff anyway. So for example, this has freedom / conditioning, this has freedom / conditioning as well, these have freedom grit ward. You know, it's not BIS by any means, but again, I think it's good enough for now. So I've been trying to try this as well and see if the freedom matters. And I think it probably matters a little bit less in open world than it does in wars, because I know that in wars the optimum setup is 4 freedom, 4 grit ward, 4 conditioning perks. But that's sort of like the upper bound on where you could go with that. So that's cool, and I like that. And another thing with the dodges is that I find that, you know, the greataxe has this double auto attack chain, and generally, even when you're pretty low on stamina, you can always double dodge. By double dodge, I mean you can do a light attack chain and dodge once, light attack chain and dodge once, and you generally will maintain somewhere between 10 to 20 stamina, and you can sort of weave your way through the battlefield like this without ever really stamming out. And because you have refreshing move on your greataxe, doing this also reduces your cooldowns on the rest of your skills, and as long as you're light attacking, you have grit up, which gives you all of the defenses, and then you dodged, and then you proc things. So I think it's you know, tried and true build. I'm not the one to think about it. This has been around for a really long time. I'm sort of just catching up and learning the ropes. So that's it for now, and I'll catch you guys next time on how far I've progressed since now. Take care.